With the internet being as global as it is, if you're using a website to sell a product or a service, you're going to obviously need to put a price on it. But if people from other countries are coming to view your site to purchase your product or your service, they're probably going to want to see that in their own currency. Now, there's a few ways in which you can achieve a currency conversion on your site. You can use a package manager and download a currency converter for whichever framework or library it is that you're using. But if something goes wrong, it's very hard to debug and find out what's the matter. So for this once, maybe let's just do away with our package manager and try and write one of our own. In this short tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use vanilla.js to build your own currency converter that you can then use in any framework or library. It's very simple, it uses built-in JavaScript functionality, and it's extremely quick. If you enjoy this video, please hit like and subscribe. Let's get on with it. This is Code Bytes. Before we continue, the first thing you're going to want to do is get hold of an API key for this currency converter that we're going to use. Simply go to this site which I've linked in the show notes and on the Git repository. Enter your email address and they'll send you an API key pretty sharpish. After you've done that, we're good to go. To begin, we've got yet another simple site. The website's going to do the conversion in two different ways. Firstly, we're going to allow a user to enter a price. Now you can use any currency you want and I'll show you exactly how to get the list of currencies. Put in a price, you hit convert, and what will happen is the value in dollars will appear there and that will be the conversion in real time. Additionally, the site will calculate out a value on load for a set price. We have a product here that costs £30 and I want to see what that's going to be in dollars. So let's take a look at the code. Our index.html is pretty straightforward. We've got a style sheet. Secrets.js just contains my API key, and the currencies is just a list of all the currencies that this currency converter supports, and I've just pulled it down using the API, and I'll show you how to do that. My script.js file is also pretty straightforward. We've got the various elements, so the input box, the convert button, the result, and then our static value in pounds, that £30 value, and then what I want that result to be. I've also got this list of currencies here, which I'm going to log out to the console so you can take a look. So I obtained this list of currencies using the API key. You can take a look at what that looks like over here. So the code is the ID that the currency converter API will need for that particular currency. So in this case, I'm using GBP, which is a British pound, and then the USD, which is the United States dollar. So we've already defined what our button is, so we'll just add an event listener to that, and it will be on click. And I'm going to make it point to a method called getPrice. And getPrice is going to get the value from the input box. Now getPrice will be an asynchronous function because it's going to call await on our conversion function, and more about that in a bit. I'm going to get the price from the input box, and then I'm going to pass that price into a convert function, which I haven't written yet. Now the convert function is going to need an await keyword because it's going to go off and get the conversion value using the API. Now when we go and do a request like this, it can sometimes take some time, and in that process we don't want the user experience to be frozen, so we hide that away on a different thread, allow it to be done in the background. The user can still interact with the site, and then when the result is complete it will send it back to the user. So I'll set up a value for the result and I will await the convert function which we're about to write. Finally, when we get the result, we want to set that on the result div. And I'm going to prefix it with $1 because I know I'm looking for dollars. So the next thing we need to do is to write our convert function. This will also be an asynchronous function, but we're going to take in the price. If you haven't yet obtained an API key, this is the stage at which you'll need it, so I suggest you go and get one. And my key is coming in from the script that I've called earlier in my index.html, which is pulling my secrets file. That has a variable called key, and that's got the value of the key in there. I now need to define the currencies I'm going to deal with. So I need a currency to begin with and the final currency I want. So my from currency in this case is going to be GBP, and my currency I want to convert to is USD. Now we just need to write the query. So again, with this API, if you go to the site, you'll see the documentation, and the documentation will show exactly how to write different queries. In this case, it's just a simple conversion query, which looks a little bit like this. Our from currency with an underscore, and then our to currency. All of these values can be constants because we're not going to change them. Now we'll go and get our result. So to do this, we're going to use fetch. A fetch is a great little function built into JavaScript. There are lots of different ways you can go and make HTTP requests, and my personal favorite is fetch. So again, in the documentations, you'll see that this is the URL that you need. You have to pass the query in and then your API key, and it's got to be in this format. Once we've done that, we'll get our response in JSON. So something that we can actually read and manipulate. And finally, we'll pull the conversion rate from that JSON. Now I'll calculate out the price. So it's the initial price the user inputted multiplied by the conversion rate. I'm then going to return that converted price, but I want to return it to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to use a built-in toFixed method for 2 decimal places. There are other ways to round a value to 2 decimal places, and some are more accurate than others. But for this demo, toFixed is very simple. With all that saved, we should have a working demo here. I'm going to insert a price, £10, hit convert, and it's $13.84. So that's the first part, but how do we deal with the second part? How do we get our prefixed value to convert for us? So let's jump back into the code and let's write a new method that's going to take our static value and convert it for us as the page loads. So it's going to be another async function here because we're going to call our existing convert function, but now we're going to pass in that static price. So all we have to do is get the static price and then carry on the normal flow. I'm going to call this set price on load. So now I've got my price, I just go get my converted price. And finally, I'm going to set the inner HTML of the converted value to this converted price. Finally, I need to call this when the page loads. So we'll just call that function here when the page loads. We'll save that and that should do it. Let's refresh and there you go. £30 is $41.52 as of right now. And so there you have it, your own currency converter with no need for a package manager. I'd like to give a big shout out to Max Sinclair, the founder of Snowball Creations. Snowball Creations is a social media sales and marketing agency, and it was Max who first brought the currency conversion problem to my attention. So thanks very much, Max, and you should check out snowballcreations.com. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment below and we'll be sure to take your feedback on board. Until next time, thanks for watching.